Little vlog. Trip to Shoreditch.
Design, that's tech design. But then we have to cover, if we've made an app, maybe we'll make the ads as well. Maybe we'll make the explainer videos, the other stuff. So my main role is like animation and motion design, so I handle a lot of that stuff. But again, bread and butter is UI UX, so I've still got UI UX clients, still doing app design and like UX consulting and stuff like that. Show you the quick order. So yeah, we've all got our own little specialities for that.
Hi everyone.
It's quite a small little studio, but
Squeezing everyone in.
yeah, it's a shared office space. We've got like meeting rooms and downstairs. And
I showed them the like downstairs and the kitchen and the beanbag area.
The beanbag area is amazing.
eventually,
So we used to have like couches here, but we've only yesterday replaced these with tables, so we could fit more people in, get more work done. It's become Shoreditch Workhouse. So we were to basically we do like sales each month. The more sales you get, you can then if you're like one of the top salesmen, you can like spin the wheel, and you win like £500, bottle of champagne,
Oh, a Twix!
But there's some good things.
We were talking with some other designers because obviously your office, you seem to work very much together, but we were speaking with some other people and two of the women work in Portugal, somebody works in Norwich and someone works in London. I think that must be such an interesting dynamic to work online all the time.
that is probably a lot. I think that's why people are hiring some studios like us more, is because they realise they need to have someone in house that can do all remote things. So I think it's definitely in this industry, in the future, more and more companies are fully remote. So a lot of our clients are fully remote. They always work here. We have a small office, maybe somewhere like that.
There was a small office in Germany, but that's just the CEOs and finance guys. All the designers, all the dev teams are all remote. And they're like Europe, like Ukraine, Germany, Switzerland, England.
So we've got a couple of people, one in Manchester, one in Birmingham, and then one in Australia. So everyone else is in London. So we still. Well, I still believe in like the office space, and the studios, especially collaboration.
I think that's like the weird trade-off that happened when we moved. Because obviously, like I said, we started off digital when we were like new before we moved to the office, and there's like that weird trade-off. Like, okay, you're less concentrated because if you're at home and you're just like working, no distractions. Sure, you're probably less distracted, but when you're here, you can chat to someone. You don't have to like send someone a message, wait 10-15 minutes, and like just walk over nice and so like it speeds that up, but also you are dicking around.
2 years old, so only just really grew. So we didn't meet most of the team until early this year. So we'd all be remote, remotely.
Almost a year before I'd even met you.
So coming back in the studio, was that not like better to just chat together?
I think so, it's been, it's really good.
Recycled plastic?
Yes, it's like,
But like you said, you grew a lot over the past year as well. So like,
so just in the last.
especially since it was a pandemic, that's quite impressive.
Well, that's the thing, is
Maybe that's people into it. I think because I used to work in kind of 3D design, architecture, all this sort of thing. I think they really struggled because you've got construction projects, right? Whereas what we do, a lot of it can be done remotely, and a lot of businesses want to go online. Did so. I think maybe it might be accelerated, but I think it is the design. It is the plan. But it's good to be together much better before. So you can work from home maybe the odd day when you've got a certain task that requires it, but then most of the time it is good to kind of bounce things off people. When I'm a bit older, obviously, so I like bouncing. I like kind of doing that. Whereas with Slack and stuff like that, sometimes it's like, did you read that? It's hard to kind of express what you want to say.
I know what you mean.
Quite flexible working in terms of like you can kind of work from home, you should come in once in a while. But I worked from home like 2 days last week, and it was just so annoying because I was trying to message people, trying to get answers from people, and just couldn't get the answer you want, like you can in the office. So that's way better.
To read body language. So when you're making a comment, I think you can read someone's body language, and you can kind of make a, you can say in a certain way. Whereas this on Slack, even with a client, sometimes it can be taken the wrong way. Stand up thing.
So anyway, this is Emma.
Hello.
Technically an architect.
Technically.
Korea. Joe. He's been senior. You worked with some funky people.
Yeah, I've worked with Urban Outfitters for a year. I've worked at some cool agencies. Freelance for 4 years. Been around the block. Yeah.
That's so cool. So how did you decide that you wanted to come here if you've been freelance?
Desperation.
Desperation. No, well, I met Andrew, and it was Shoreditch Design Studio was one of like the few companies in the pandemic that wasn't like making people redundant, and it was going against the grain. It was kind of like growing, and I thought that's a really good sign. So I joined as a freelancer, and then I really liked it here. So then I joined permanently.
That's so cool. And so, sorry, would you say your like specialty is graphic design or?
Yeah. So my background is graphic design. Studied graphic design and photography at uni, and I became. Well, I pursued graphic design after university, and I moved around. I started in a modelling agency, then I worked in a marketing agency, then like I said, I worked at Urban Outfitters, and kind of freelance was great because you get to like put all your fingers in all the pies. And I did some events work, some digital work, some branding, worked in some big advertising agencies. Moved around. I do like working in like a smaller agency where you know everyone.
Yeah.
Like get to know everyone on a bit more of a personal level, but those big agencies are great, the parties are amazing, the budgets are incredible. So it's like, it's good.
Do you guys all like socialise together and hang out, or is it like?
We probably socialise a little bit too much.
Do you have parties like drinking something?
Sorry?
Do you have parties like after work?
Yeah, there's a lot of parties.
Like pubs. Got our local favourites like the Old King's Head round the corner.
Yeah.
So guys, this is Katie. She's been fast same next to me, just before actually.
Studied at RT Bournemouth graphic design. And just been in digital design since really.
Okay, did you come here straight from uni, or what was your journey into industry?
Mine was a funny one because I went on to do dancing.
Yes.
And then the pandemic hit, and then came into graphic design or digital design. But I've always jumped between the two. So again, like Joe was saying, found this company. It's a great place to work. It's very flexible. You know, you can start sort of freelance and then become more permanent. And great work because it's digital, which I really like. And great social life. So
What's drinking?
and it's nice being in a small team actually. So you could go to like a really big company, but it really depends. I've not worked in a really big company, so I can't compare. But I guess that's something when you graduate and you work at different places, you'll find your place that you're comfortable in. But there's definitely perks being in a small team.
Swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
It's like, it all has its perks, but I think I personally prefer it.
Yeah, I like the small vibe. And like I say, we'll get to know each other, we're all like friends.
Stronger bonds, stronger relationships.
Don't have too much. So.
With your clients.
But we work hard, very hard.
We don't really do any work. We do, But it's a good place to work.
I think there's always like the choice I think in design between like going in-house or agency or freelance. But like if you go like in-house, I think you're going to work on like one project forever. If it's like a big company, you're going to have to like abide by all their rules and go through all their processes and stuff like that. And it's a bit soulless, I've always thought. I've only ever kind of worked as like through this company, through like a contractor to it. But even that's like, oh god, I wouldn't want to work in that kind of stuff. Like smaller stuff like this is definitely so much more.
With in-house,
Get your voice
it
heard.
could be, depends who you work for. When I worked at Urban Outfitters, it was like quite a lot to do. So there's like digital stuff, there was print stuff, there was branding. There was actually teams within the design team. But I do think that there's probably some in-house companies, like you wouldn't want to be an in-house designer at Zip, would you? Where you're just like turning out banners all day.
Or Fastic.
Maybe might be a good place to start.
You have to like go through different levels of like get your design approved by one person, then you get taken to the next person, present your design to them, and then you get like approval and like ranked and stuff like that. And it's like they use all these like methods to organise people, and it's just
that's kind
a bit soulless.
Yeah, it doesn't feel very creative in the handling of the
that's
working process. Never mind the project.
Yeah,
and that's the thing about agency as well, is you can work on loads of different things. So even if you get stuck in a company like that, you're not going to go for too long.
With your projects that come through, what is the working process? Was it like if you was a project you work on it independently, is it you team up together, or?
We try to be really flexible. So try and create try to treat every brief as its own brief. So sometimes we'll collaborate, sometimes I'll just do something. You know, every brief has its own requirements. Sometimes the brief is this big, sometimes it's just like a text message. So try to be as flexible as possible. Don't have like rigid rules. Be quite fluid designers. But most of the time we're put into like teams, so we kind of like share the responsibility with like a lead designer on it.
Okay.
And that can be
Get sessions. That's a big thing we always do. So like at the start of a project, like a branding project, website, all of us together will take like an hour, and we'll all do like our variation of the project, like how we'd all do like 5-10 ideas.
Everyone would have
just really quickly in an hour, and then so only one person will deal with it from then on. So you just get
that's not common
ideas.
to other agencies.
Yeah, I've never seen we do that, but it works really well because instantly, straight off the bat, you have like 30 ideas. So you show 30 ideas to a client, they know exactly. You can then kind of work out what they want, what they do like, what they don't like.
Yeah.
I guess that's nice as well because I guess if somebody with an intern if they join that session, they get an equal opportunity to the rest of the team to try and contribute something to that project.
And there's no pressure. I mean, I remember I joined as a senior and I was so scared to do that. But it's good. You learn from each other. Best thing you can do as designers is learn from each other and collaborate with other designers. It's the best experience you can get.
Yeah, that's exciting.
And always show other designers your work.
Yeah. That's so interesting because we were wondering if it was like the designers liaise directly with the clients or whether there was like,
trying to be like as direct as possible if there's disagreements or whatever, more about the business side of things. Talk about money, etc.
That's quite nice. I think because personally I've been doing a little bit of freelance and it's always difficult knowing how to. Can you pay me now, please?
It's good to have someone else.
Some agencies will work where you have like a project manager, and the project manager's the only one who talks to the client, and the designers work around that. But we don't do that. So we just
on your website it says you're quite like speaking to direct to the designer. No, they are client in quite direct. Is that like?
Yeah, we try to be like Ryan's been on calls this morning on your own with the clients.
few
clients, and I just try and put you straight in front. Almost it's kind of almost if you were a freelancer, I guess, but as a collective of us, you get out the team.
Yeah, that's nice.
Something or if you're not very good at illustration or whatever.
Motion or anything. So as soon as anything goes wrong, you can kind of pull in someone who has that speciality to solve that.
Yeah. So would you, obviously you have a team that has like a wide range of skills, would you ever go to anybody else to help you with other projects, or would you say you've got you would?
It's about I think a lot of creative work's about collaboration. You don't have everything in-house. Unless you're huge. I think working in the design industry is all about collaboration, right? You need good developers, you need good, people with skills that we maybe don't have. And also it helps you get work because you give them work and then they go, I've got this job for you. So it's good to work in a kind of community.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I feel like when I work by myself, I just kind of like go inside a little bit. Like I said, I've been freelancing, but it's really difficult to find inspiration once you've like ran out of it with a project.
When you're like lacking a bit of confidence, you kind of turn to the designer next to you and be like, does this make any sense? Does this actually work? We do that a lot, I think.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. That's cool.
Mainly do UIs for us, so mainly do digital. So I think it's good to keep on. I think print's never going to go away, so we still do a bit now, but predominantly digital.
I don't know how you would predict the future, because I think like tech, if you've seen like from like the start of the year to like the amount of work like in the industry now, it's so much more. Like every design studio is like looking for designers. Manic, like everyone's out there just like apply quick, help us. And then other design studios are hiring other design studios to help with overflows. We might be working with that, like that lot and stuff. So like we're doing overflow of other studios. So I think there's so much work, especially in the digital space and app and tech and all that. And that just keeps growing wider and bigger. I don't know when that stops. If we knew that when you stop, if we knew when that would stop, you'd be an investment banker. So Yeah,
that's
so
our
much
vision of
really.
the company really is to keep growing that space particularly.
Yeah.
Hopefully keep the same culture and vibe that grows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully more international as well.
Go to uni, if I may ask.
I went to Sheffield,
Okay.
but then me and Chris did our masters at the
I
Royal
read
College.
about that.
Yeah, so it was during that.
Where's the name of the studio come from? Why it's called regular practice?
It's actually not. It's a good question, and if you Google us and you plus it's an Iceland, it's actually it's written about on the internet. But like long story short, it was just we spent like 2 days coming up with names when we first set up, which we basically did like straight out of school. So we were sitting in the computer room at the Royal College and thinking up names that we thought that I think like when you first set up, it's a little bit like there's this notion of it's a little bit scary to use your own name because like, you know, what if it's terrible? Like what if you never get any jobs, and what if like all your friends judge you and for like this thing that you thought you could do and then turned out you couldn't and stuff. So I think there's this notion of like hiding behind another name, and so yeah, I guess I think we're also a little bit preoccupied with this notion of like, well, if we just like start designing every day, which is this like regularity or something, I think that was like the prime.
That makes sense.
But I think that's it. But I mean, I think like we had like a long, you know, I'm sure as everyone does, like a big long list. We've tried to find it on multiple occasions and can't find it, but like a long list of other names. But, yeah, that's kind of the reason.
Do we have a music policy? I mean, I think the music soft. It's a select number of computers that like the music is the programs are installed on.
Yeah.
So there's some people that don't actually have access to play music.
Yeah.
That's not like a deliberate choice. I don't think.
It's not like a closed door.
That's just because there's like some people that have never been like, right, I'm DJing now.
Yeah.
I don't know. We used to listen to a lot of NTS before Charlie Bones stopped. Now we're listening to his new channel since like a couple of days ago.
Yeah. If you're not familiar with Charlie Bones,
Yeah.
you know, he used to do a breakfast show on NTS.
Oh, okay.
And we used to listen to it every day, and then he stopped. And then he started again, so we're all very excited about it.
But like, I don't know, beyond that, it's just like easy listening.
Yeah. Nothing to abrasive.
I think sometimes if like me and Tom are like in a bad mood, we might put on like some more aggressive music.
Yeah. Fight music.
Only like late in the day, I think.
But also like people listen to headphones.
Yeah.
You do like a kind of like
I do
one in, one out, don't you? Type thing.
Keep my ear on everything.
Yeah.
So you say you've just moved studio.
Yeah.
Is this one? How come you moved to like this one? Is it just a better location or?
Just better location. Yes.
Yeah. More room.
It's
More room, yeah.
bigger.
Yeah.
It's swankier.
Yeah.
It's light. No,
Yeah.
it's not actually lighter, to be honest.
Well, I mean, that picture that you've got is from the one that was on your laptop. That was from our old studio, but it was it was like Homerton High Street, which is like right by the hospital. So it was like quite loud. It was like an older building with like single glazed windows. So it was just. I think when we came here, we were like, wow, it's very quiet.
Yeah, that's the impression I got as I was walking.
Yeah.
It was kind of busy as we were walking, and as soon as we got onto this road, it was like really calm.
Yeah.
I saw it on the map and it was like over like a stream, and I was like, oh, fancy.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, we've grown a bit in the last like year. So the old studio was like a bit cramped for six of us. Well, there wasn't 6 of us, there was 5 of us at the time. So it was a bit of that, but I think it primarily like quality of life decisions. So like being in the mix a little bit more location wise.
Yeah.
And like, you know, having a dedicated meeting space, having like room for loads of samples, room for books. Whereas the old place was very like
all in the same
Yeah.
space.
We were like, you would be having a meeting with clients and then everyone would be sat like centimetres away. So it's just nice to have a little bit more.
Yeah. You mentioned how you delegate projects, but how do you do that?
Well, I mean, it is a mix of reasons. I think like it depends on the scale. So often what we try and do, what's important is that it's people have like multiple people are involved in the project. So we delegate things based on scale and how many people need to work on it. Like normally what is the case is that either myself or Chris will be like leading, and that's often in that we'll be in like conversations with the client, but like there'll be either me or Chris and like Chris, Sean or Julia involved like with us working on it, or it will be Chris, Sean or Julia leading it and then we'll be like a bit involved. But it's like a mix of how busy someone is on something else versus like if it's a you know, a project that's print centric, it would probably be something that Sean would work on. If it's something that is like a complex web project, it would be something that Julia would probably be in. And similarly, like if there's multiple identity routes that have like motion involved or just general identity, I think that would be something Chris would be. And similarly in terms of like me and Chris, I think if it's like Chris is obviously type is like amazing at that kind of stuff, so I think like that's where he helps, but I think we try and get everyone like me and Chris involved in the beginning of those.
I was going to ask you as well, do you have like work days out or like nights out, or do you do stuff like outside the studio to like sort of get like this sort of
fun?
Yeah,
I don't know what you imagine it's like working in It's not like that.
None of that. But I mean, like the original question of why we moved, like I think that was about, you know, quality of life and like having having like light or like having room and like if you're having a meeting on Zoom with like 3 of you, that the other 3 people can still work. So I mean, I think we have a biased opinion, but I mean, I think it's better.
Yeah, it's really nice. I don't know. I took a year out and I worked in a studio, and it's the first time I've ever been into a studio that's not university. And they had a similar, it wasn't this big, but it was a working area and then a meeting area, and they were buying sofas and making it really lovely. And I was like, this is so strange to like have a little living room in the studio. But now I'm like, you know, thinking about it more, and it makes so much sense. But I don't know. I really like that kind of brain separation between these areas and not doing it all in the same place, if that makes sense.
But I mean, like all of us spend more time here, unfortunately, quite depressingly, than we do at home. So I think like it has to be, you know,
as livable.
And like comfy chairs, all that kind of stuff.
Is that how you were just sending emails to places to apply to jobs, or were there any other like ways that you were applying to places?
Email only.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, did you get many responses, or?
Yeah, and I would say like the shorter your email is, the more likely I got a response.
Oh really?
Yeah.
It's good shit.
Agreed. Julia's email is very good.
Like 2 sentences.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
I try to actually make them longer, just so it seems like I've put in the effort, but
no one reads it.
Yeah.
And I feel like it feels like, I think it feels false off the record.
This has changed the pace a little bit, but you've got all these books on the wall. Whose are they? And do you have a favourite?
A lot of them are torn. I mean, a lot of them are now the studios, because we've also, you know, been buying books over time. I think probably most of them are Tom's.
Yeah, but they're the studios, really.
That he's had to like ship out from his own flat.
Yeah, it's now like colouring books and stuff.
Yeah, they're safe here now.
They really are.
I don't know. I think we have a lot of favourites.
Well, we have them for different reasons. I think there's like different books for different purposes. There's like pervy books that you have that you never open that are just beautiful, that from like a design point of view are really nice. And then there's like reference material that we like actually pull down and use.
And look at all the time.
Yeah, and look at all the time.
Yeah.
And
And then there's stuff that's like, I don't know, like more like collections of things. Like this is like this is like a collection of like 50s, 60s, 70s, like Danish design, sort of primarily furniture magazine. Because that it's not like isn't. I don't think any of them. I've never looked through any of them like individually, but as a kind of collection. I think also because like they're really the covers all like really amazing, like as a collection. But like I don't know. There's these books that I got in when I was in Korea. But I mean the Japanese books, but.
Yeah, I saw this.
Yeah. I mean, we pick those. Like I pull those ones out all the time.
Yeah. Where's the one that you bought recently as well? Is that like on the table? I thought it was on the shelf. I think I put
It's there.
I'm scared to touch it.
This one?
Yeah.
I have a clammy hands.
I mean, there's just a lot. Actually, what I do a lot is I buy like old, discarded library books because they're like super cheap and you can get like really specialist like information. Like that book I got is a discarded library book, and it's amazing.
But it's just like these ones. Like I mean, you can see these ones have got like very old post-it notes from like many projects. And it's just like, in some ways, like a kickstart of thinking or something. Like it's a good start. But like that one on the bottom, like Chris bought this week.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's just like, beautiful images, really nice like combination.
Yeah, but I think it also reflects like the changing interests, let's say, of the studio, because like now now it's not only like, typography and graphic design. Now it's like we also have to do like art direction and creative direction for brands, and so like now all of a sudden we're very interested in photographs and still lifes and stuff that we weren't really that bothered about before, so in that way I don't know if this is like a favorite, but it's certainly very beautiful. I don't know, I feel like there's some books that are like kind of important to the inception of the studio.
And so, are you guys, because you mentioned that the business has grown a lot in the last year, is that the plan for you guys, just keep going as far as you can go, or is there a goal in mind? Or that's quite a broad question, but...
Yeah, but I think that's like a question that we've been talking a lot. I mean, I don't know, it's not really something that we've like announced to the world or anything, but I guess... I don't know, like when we originally got into like graphic design, it looks like quite a fun thing to do. I don't think I really had any like much ambition of like doing anything other than just like getting to like decide for myself what to do when I got up in the morning and stuff like that. And so like a couple of years down the line, I think it's like totally shifted. Like I would have been happy like sitting in an attic and making like books 5 years ago or something like that. Or I thought I would, at least. I guess until I like got out into the world and realized like, oh, it's actually quite like addicting, like, doing something for someone that they pay you money for, or like seeing that you make something and then someone new comes along, like sort of like in response to something you've made. And they're like, oh, I really like that thing that you made. Can you make something for me? And it's like, I don't know, I guess I never really thought that like, oh yeah, the goal would be to like charge people more money, for example. Or like make like commercial design projects. But I think like that's like very much a goal now for us. Like I don't know, I've personally done like a 180 on that. Yeah. Because I always saw it as being like quite noble to like make things for like the sake of like art, or the sake of like myself, which and I still like do, and I still admire people who can get like satisfaction out of that. But I just realized that I can't get satisfaction out of it myself.
Yeah.
I think it's like, I mean, it's good, and I think it's good because we both feel that way. I think the issue can arise when, and it's common, and it happens where like two founders have like, one of them wants that like big he wants to go larger and more commercially viable, and the other one wants to like, you know, do the art book thing.
Yeah.
But I think we're both on the same page of like actually, we see, I don't know, I think it's exciting to like this brand, because we come from that like making books in basements or whatever, like, you know, we care about the details and we care about like those things. It's kind of exciting bringing that like boutique background into this kind of like broader, more like branding space. And I think it gives us a different offering perhaps than other people who've come in a different way. But I think like, yeah, it's exciting. So I think like in terms of future of design, I think what we're interested in is like designing things that have longevity and kind of like will be around for a long time. So it's less about like, you know, well, I don't know. I think so. I guess like that's kind of a big part of what we do. And in some ways, like the thing that gets us excited is like the possibility of designing something that like, you know, will be on a shelf somewhere, or like have a big, you know, a big billboard that people can walk past that has like longevity and future like embedded into the things that you're making, I guess. No, I mean, I think I think like now more and more like people are interested in like how you can marry those things, and I think in some ways like tactility and like material sensibilities and all that kind of stuff have become like, people are more sensitive to it now because you have to think about it. And I think we're quite interested in like how you can link, you know, designing like really great digital experiences and like, you know, e-commerce and all that kind of stuff where people order things, but also like how that experience from how someone views something on the internet or like on their phone, how does that get delivered when that arrives, like what's that experience like. So I think what we're kind of more, it's not that we do one or the other or like more of something, it's more about like the whole, you know, like the 360 of it, I guess. So I think like that experience in print is something that we care a lot about, and I think that's why like you can imbue a lot of value in a brand or like in the outputs that people are receiving.
We could always use more people.
Because we've got, I can intro you to, there's a studio called, our old studio, mate, it's called Studio Bikini.
Okay.
Who are two people, maybe three now, that are in our old studio in Hackneywick.
Yeah.
Very happy to intro you to those guys.
Yeah, that would be great.
Also, like another Hackneywick, like good grandfathers, called All Purpose Studio.
Yeah, I think so.
So I can intro you to those guys. I'm sure they have stuff.
Oh, that'd be
We're actually looking at studios that have like either founded by females or people, because we've got
It's just like old
so
white men. Sorry about that.
One by One is a campaign which engages practitioners in conversation about their studio culture and the future of design in order to encourage diversity within the studio and bring awareness to gender inequality in the industry. It's been our aim to give the next wave of designers an insight into the logistics of running a studio, and as well as creating spaces which are accessible for all designers. And while the future of design has a multitude of possibilities, sadly many issues still remain. The gender wage gap is unlikely to close before the year 2059 if current trends continue. Change doesn't come in one great thump, it comes one by one, and it looks kind of funny and then it doesn't.